So you can't tell me that the body of Christ is unified and at that place of really loving one another, not when, you get a lot of believers out there that seem like they're snotty. They have their heads so high that they don't notice anybody, around them. Only the ones that, they're friends with. And why is it that certain people feel as though that they're overlooked and, they just have this feeling that certain people in the body of Christ, are prideful, and rude and, just have that rude disposition, like, I don't know, they get the feeling that a person is arrogant. And I have to say that, I truly believe that it's possibly discernment. Maybe they're discerning how that person really is. And you do your best to try to love like Jesus wants us to love. And, you don't want to judge anybody. But you're getting these, these feelings about somebody. I've got that plenty of times in my walk where it just seems like, there's just these arrogant Christians, and they don't take the time to get to know you. They're around their own little circle of friends, and they won't have anything to do with you. They don't talk to you, and possibly the only time that they will talk to you is if they need something from you, a service done or whatever. So I've seen it, my share of this kind of injustice in the past, where, these people hang around with each other. It seems like they're not friendly. They don't make the time to get to know you or to talk with you. But, you just get the feeling that they treat you like refuse. And, my current book that I'm writing, it's called Love One Another. And I think I really touch on it, about this whole thing. I touch on it in the book. Because we're not unified in the body of Christ. We don't love each other. Not when, we find things that we're offended about. You get some Christians that are just rude. They say things that are rude. And there's no loving, there's no understanding. And you put so many things above your brothers and sisters. Maybe you hold on to an ideal of this world, or you have a lot of woundedness in your heart in which, that's keeping you from loving your brothers and sisters. And, it's up to us. We're accountable to God to, deal with, our own hurts and not inflict them on another. And I recall Jesus said that, making sure, and this is my, my paraphrase of, what Jesus said. It's like he assigned a task to, different people. And some were, given certain tasks to do. And when the master returned, he paid them. And we're all given, talents from God to do what we're supposed to do in this world. But what is keeping us from doing what we're supposed to be doing in God? But our focus is not only on the flesh, but on the things that this world offers. You know, maybe you're just so focused on your job that you want to be rich, or, maybe you have a certain addiction in which it's hard for you to break free from, which I can understand. But how many people willingly walk in darkness knowing that it's wrong and do it anyways? They have no desire to change whatsoever. They just do it. And, how many Christians out there are just so prideful in their position that they don't wish to associate with anybody that they think is below them. And, we're all the same in God. God doesn't treat some Christians more favorably than others. He treats us all the same. We're all born in this world naked and without wealth, and we will all die that way. So we're all equal in God. So I don't know where the superiority comes from in a lot of these Christians. And I've seen my fair share of it, and it's probably something that I've discerned. I mean, the past church I went to, it just seems that people have come and gone, that they're noticed by the church leaders, and for a time they're there, and then they get bitter and then leave. And it really goes to show just how mature these people are, that something so minute that could be taken care of by what Jesus said, that if your brother sins against you, go show them they're wrong. There is none of that. They get a little offended and they get up and leave. I mean, man, why don't you try walking, how I have, in which you're constantly forgotten about, you're constantly rejected, you do things for the church and you're overlooked. I've dealt with that constantly, but I never left. I had cause to leave, but I realized, that that's not the way to go about it. And I tried taking the biblical approach. When I was treated unjustly by some of the church leaders, for the example with the, t-shirts, I went to them and just what Jesus said. I did it the biblical way. And that's the way we're supposed to do it. That if we have something against each other, then we need to work it out with each other. Not become bitter and offended and keeping that in until, you just blow up at them. That's not how we're supposed to do things. As Christians, we're supposed to be an example to this world. But how can we do that if, we're doing what the world does? It's the world that stays bitter with each other. It's the world that refuses to work things out and not forgive. We're supposed to be lights in this world. We're supposed to be, forgiving people. We're supposed to be working it out with our brothers and sisters so we could show the world just exactly what it's supposed to be like. But you get a lot of Christians out there that are bitter and they just refuse to work things out. So, I created graphically t-shirts in the past for the church that I went to. And I made a church, I made a shirt for the church. And, I didn't think anything of it. I was told that I could sell the shirts in the back of the church. If I wasn't told that, I wouldn't have done that. But when I was selling them in the back of the church, a church leader told me that some people went to them and complained, that this is supposed to be a house of prayer, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the problem was that I had was the fact that what about all these other visitors that, come to the church and teach? Well, they have their stuff at the back of the church that they're selling, and no one had a problem with that. But here I am, this plain and ordinary jar that's trying to do something for the church, and I get treated in that manner. So, instead of becoming bitter, I wanted to take the biblical approach and speak to this church leader about this inconsistency. I said, how is it that you have all these speakers come to the church and they have their CDs and stuff back there, but here I am doing something for you all and I'm getting treated like that? And I guess they had no answer for that. So it's plain discrimination and it's unjust. But it just seems like with, certain people, they're praised over others. If you look good on the outside, you're accepted. But if you don't, you're forgotten. And, that's just so far away from what Jesus had intended. He didn't intend for us to treat each other like that. We're supposed to be loving each other. So really, what's it going to take for all of us to become unified? Is it going to be like tragedy? Is it going to be persecution? Especially what's, going on right now in this world. If you're a 17 follower, that, the deep state is being taken care of. So, what's it going to be? Is this going to be like an awakening for everyone to where people acknowledge, their hurts and work things out? Or is it going to be like these med beds or celestial chambers where it's going to fix what's not right in each of our bodies and our minds, in which we can see that? But, I don't know. I'm just throwing this off the cuff, and I mean, I'm saying that as pure speculation, but I mean, if we need a machine to take care of that very thing, then it's not really us, I would think, that's working things out. We have to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. We have to work on areas in our Christian walks in which, things can be worked out, and we shouldn't have to have a machine, that would fix whatever is going on in us, because it wouldn't really be us doing that. It would be the machine, dealing with that inconsistency in us. I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say, but there is a certain responsibility that should be in every Christian to do what is right, not only to God, but to each other, and it's hard when you don't see that. And I've been treated like I wasn't even there by a lot of Christians. I've been treated, with discrimination. I've been treated rude by a lot of people. And, at first the flesh comes out. You want to freaking tell these people off. But then, you want to be loving like the way Jesus wants us to be loving. He said, love one another as I have loved you, so love one another. So, it's just taking that example of loving, and it's not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're dealing with arrogant people. So, I just wanted to share that thought with you, just how we're not unified in the body of Christ, not yet. So really, what's it going to take for all of us to become unified? So, thanks for taking the time to watch.